We back. This is chapter 2. We're talking about plantology, and we're talking about how to get you set up, understand this plant, get you growing. What's going on, gang? You're deep into chapter 2 of our book. Glad to be back here with you, man. Last video I was filming, man, my microphone went out at the end of it. I didn't even realize. I saw it blinking, and I didn't realize that's what it was letting me know. So we're gonna go back and edit that, get it situated for you guys. But man, welcome back. Thank y'all for rocking with us, man. It's a cold winter evening here in Missouri. Single digit temperatures out there, ice and snow. But we're here in the lab tonight cooking with you guys, bringing you that information. I got on my Young Dolph 100 Crops. Got on the Young Dolph 100 Crops hoodie. Yeah, we're gonna get into it this evening. Man, today we're rolling through chapter 2. So that first chapter, we kind of let you guys know about, genetics and legalities and picking out your equipment and all that type of stuff. Now we're finna start talking about more so the plantology, understanding how the plant works and what stuff we're gonna do. But before we get on into that, man, you know what I'm gonna say, like all the other little goofy YouTubers, like and subscribe, comments, tell a friend, all that other good stuff. But yeah, man, tap in. Good value here. Check the website out. Young Dolph sweatshirts, all types of good stuff. You never know what you're gonna see on there too, man. Tap in with us. But we're gonna get right into it, man. I like the idea of having the book right here behind me too on the screen as we coast through this with you guys. But when we're understanding the plant, man, like for those of us who've worked with the plants and who just work with growing, understand that, these plants are like beans. Let me fix my top on you. These plants are like beans. Are like beans. They're not like beans. Fabo! These plants are like people, you know what I'm saying? So when they need their water, the type of schedule they're on, the type of diet, all the things that makes a person healthy is what's gonna make a plant healthy. So a consistent, stable environment, a healthy environment, not peaks in temperatures, not peaks in valleys in humidity, nice constants, feeding sustainable whole foods, you know what I'm saying? Or the right water, all those type of things. We get into, I think it's chapter 4 or 5, we started talking about the importance of the water that you choose, whether it be, RO water or you having filtered water, but choosing the correct water. So all these things kind of play into the health of the plant. The overall health of the plant and the health of that soil is going to really dictate, how gassy your strands are, how much flavor they got, all that stuff. So don't really think that understanding the soil and the minimalist of it, like this is not the part where you kind of get intimidated or back away from growing because you think it's about to get too deep. Like it's not gonna get too deep for you. There's some basic principles we're gonna follow that's gonna make this all make sense. But there are gonna be some information you gotta return to make it make sense for you. So man, we're gonna get right here into chapter 2. I'm following like a professor. So plants, man, when we're talking about our plants, we got the male plant and we got the female plant. Now, like I talked about in chapter 1, when we were talking about securing your genetics, I highly recommend everybody go ahead and get female seeds or secure female feminized clones. That's going to give you the ability to go right into bud production, have flower, and experience that part of growing. The regulars and males, I feel like, are more so of the breeding side. So we have male plants and we have female plants. Our male plants are going to produce the pollen, just like in nature, or just like with human beings. The pollen would, be the semen, you know what I'm saying? And the female plant with its tentacles receive that, and that's how seeds are produced. So remember back in the day, people thought that you could have like a purple urkel plant or a purple whippy-doo plant here and a green whatever plant there, and they're in the same room and they're gonna like mix or nah. That one of those has to produce pollen, or one of those needs to be a female plant, and their offspring will be that. So if one of those produces pollen and it gets on the other plant, that seed they produce will be planted, and then the outcome of that will be the mix or the cross or that strain, right? So that's kind of like the sexing of the plant and how the whole sex biology works. And we only want the female for practical purposes of wanting flower. We want females. If we were trying to create our own seeds, we would keep males in there with the females, let them seed over, do the thing. So females are the preferred thing here too. So another thing we want to talk about too is like the Indica and Sativa thing. Indica and Sativa to me are kind of like market terms. Those are the terms that people are most familiar with because Indica has been known, or it's the one more associated with the lazy part of smoking, the couch lock, the sleepiness, the munchy side, that locked in side. The sativa's been more so associated with the uplifting, the euphoric, the more uppity feeling. I'm gonna go get something done. I'm gonna be vacuuming at 2 o'clock in the morning. That type of vibe. So those where we get that indica sativa. Now, most people would generally agree at the point that we're in now with where we're at in growing, it's almost kind of like there is no true indicas and sativas because there's been so much breeding. It's kind of hard to get down to true just what is what. So now everything is so crossbred. We're talking about hybrids, indica leaning or indica dominant versus, sativa leaning or sativa dominant or 50-50. So when you see 50-50, when you see 50-50, that's saying that, hey, it is 50% equal parts sativa and indica. Let's keep rolling it through there. So let's roll through the next part of this, and we own it. So when we're talking about phenotypes and we're talking about photoperiods, these plants kind of know. The plants know themselves when to do their thing. We talked about in the previous chapters how turning a plant from getting all constant light to like these babies right here, getting all constant light. These are getting all constant light. Even this baby here is getting all constant light. 24-hour light here. It's getting all constant light, right? So those get all constant light, 24-hour lights, 24 hours a day. That plant knows just to grow leaves and build root structure and build strong stems. Like the plant knows that. The second those lights go from 24 hours on all the time to on for 12 hours and off for 12 hours, the biology and the plants automatically know, hey, it's that time of the year. I need to start producing flower. The female plant says, hey, I need to start producing flowers. So it starts reaching out its tentacles because it needs to reproduce because the season's about to be over. Because naturally these plants are gonna bud or start fruiting in the later time of the year, towards the fall time of the year. So they know, hey, at this time when that light cycle change during the equinox period, I think that is the spring equinox, or not the spring, it's one of those equinox periods when the plant knows outside that it's that time. It's time for me to ramp up and go ahead and start producing buds. So that's why the photoperiod, that's why we call it the photoperiod, because depending on the period of the photonic energy coming from the elaborated photon of the sun on the expeditiously what up to, that's how the plant knows. So when we talk about different plants and when we talk about getting into different plant structures, we talk about phenotypes and genotypes. But before we get to the phenotypes and genotypes, I do want to start talking about our vegetative state too. One thing we need to realize too about our vegetative state is that it doesn't have to be 24 hours. I don't want to look this part over. It can be 18 and 6. So it can be on for 18 hours, off for 6 hours, and still be in that vegetative stage. If you want to save some money on your bill and you don't want to just have your power on those lights constantly going, you can do the 18-6. Now, when we're talking about phenotypes and genotypes, now we're talking about those plants mixing, right? So we had that male plant in there with that female plant in there, right? It dumped its pollen, it started producing seeds. Each one of those seeds is its different children, we'll say, right? And each one of those children are going to present different characteristics. In cannabis, the way we breed, we call each one of those children is a different phenotype. It's expressing different phenotypical genetics between those two parents, right? Just like your children, like a mom and dad may have 3 kids. One might be tall, one might be short, one might be a mixture of all of them. One might look exactly like dad, nothing like mom. One might be the perfect blend. So it's all of them. So as we pick plants and we look and you hear people say phenotype, or you hear people say gelato 41 or gorilla glue number 4. That means when they were hunting through their plants, they planted all their plants, right? And you see here I got pineapple, or this might be black magic. I got 4 different types of black magic, right? I labeled them 1, 2, 3, 4. If one of these is just standing out and just popping, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we got to do something with that one, we'll pull it out. So it's just like, oh, we like number 3 is looking great. Like number 3 is the one. That's how we end up with black rainbow number 3. That's what those numbers are. It's signifying which one, when they were hunting through those or doing a pheno hunt, what's the one that they decided was going to be the one to pull out that showed the best expressions between both parents. So it's just like, people looking for the best athletes, or people looking at a volleyball player and a NBA player getting together and say, oh yeah, if you generally speaking, the phenotype or the genotype expression for them two should produce an athlete. And that's how we hunt through the plants. So what we need to understand here too on our timeline, right, when we're talking about this stuff, and if you with the book, follow along on this last page. If not, get real close or go get you a book. Go download that bad boy. One thing we got to remember too, and by the way, yeah, check out my plants. I don't want you guys to think that, we're not going to be showing off some of these plants and get in there with some of these motherfuckers, right? So I want to keep up the timeline. So one thing to kind of talk about what we just think, this whole process, right, is we're talking about germination, starting from the beginning, starting at this stage, right? Starting from here after we pop seeds. These are clones though. So these came from clones. These were cloned on 12/23. They were dropped in here. 12/23. I think today is the 4th of January. They've been in there. So we're talking about going from clones or seedling and then going to this stage, which has about another week or two before it goes in flower. And then you talk about an 8-week flower period. Man, you're talking about a good possibly 4 months or so, 5 months ago before you get your end product. So please understand when you get into this, and man, guys, keep your patience at a high level, and be ready to make mistakes and be able to reach out. You can reach out to us on Instagram. You can reach out to us on Facebook, tap in, send us a direct message, or reach out to me for some of the options we have for our direct consultations and things like that on the website. So man, we got that checked out. We're going to keep these videos rolling. You guys keep checking in with us, man. We appreciate the love. You about to check out